of racing talent returns to the tarmac for one final showdown, 15 laps to decide the 2025 European Talent Cup champion. Just a week after MotoGP curtain fell, Valencia once again takes centre stage, hosting another title-deciding finale at the iconic Circuit Ricardo Tormo. On a crisp November morning, the anti-clockwise 14-corner layout offers a fresh test for the stars of tomorrow, a technical rhythm-based circuit that rewards bravery as much as precision. The cool air hangs over the track, but the action itself is set to burn hot as Carlos Cano and Fernando Bujosa prepare to battle for the crown. Just 11 points separate the duo as they line up for lights out. Momentum, pressure, nerves, raw talent, it all comes down to this. Last time out, though, Barcelona played host to just the single European Talent Cup race. Carlos Cano started from pole, but it was Lorenzo Pretelli who got the better launch. Title contender Fernando Bujosa served a back-of-the-grid penalty, but quickly began carving through the field as Anton Nativi crashed out early. Bujosa continued his charge, while Evan Boxberger and Alfonso Almeida also slid into the gravel. Bujosa soon reeled in title rival Cano, even passing the pole sitter to move into the podium places, but the Spaniard still had a long lap penalty to serve and nearly lost the front while taking it. He kept it upright, only for disaster to strike shortly after, crashing at turn 7. Cano looked to capitalise, and Pretelli, who had led most of the race, crashed out after a collision with Mikey Luis Sanchez. In classic ETC fashion, though, the final lap became a scramble. Cano led out of the final corner, but it was Kiandra Ramadipa who launched a late charge, snatching victory by just 7 thousandths of a second. That was a maiden win for the Indonesian. Cano did secure second, and Alvaro Lucas completed the podium. Cano, though, securing 20 crucial points as we come into the title decider here in the European Talent Cup. Those 20 points, I should say, hand him an 11-point advantage over Fernando Bujosa. So a costly DNF from Bujosa. Welcome to Circuit Ricardo Tormo. 14 degrees air temperature, 17 degrees Celsius on track. A lovely day for racing in November, it has to be said. I am Chris Jordan, and joining me as always is Connor Doherty for the title decider here in the south of Spain. I think we can call it the south of Spain, southeast of Spain maybe, Connor, but I'm very much looking forward to this one. Two riders who have been the standout stars of this year's campaign, and it all comes down to this.
Yeah, absolutely, Chris. A real pleasure to be here with you here in Valencia. I think southeast is probably more appropriate than south, especially when we've got racing in Jerez to enjoy in the real south.
Southwest.
Yeah, but as you say, it's going to be absolutely sensational here in this season decider. It's the curtain closer as well. So we're in for a real treat here.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is Fernando Bujosa who will start from pole position. Let's hear what he has to say on his performance.
My first pole position in my career. I'm so happy. I make a perfect lap, incredible, and I feel very confident all the weekend with the bike, with the team. I worked really hard this season for being here, and now tomorrow we'll fight for the win and improve race to race. Tomorrow we have to think, because I need to cut a little bit of points for beat the championship. I have a plan with my teammates, and well, tomorrow we'll see.
A 148.99 then from Bujosa sees him start from pole position for the first time in his career, and what a time to do it from the young Spaniard. 11 points down in the championship. Carlos Cano, the reigning champion, holds the advantage and starts P2, but Bujosa did strike a blow, coming top of his qualifying group. 3 wins this season, 6 podiums in total. So just to run you very quickly through the permutations. So it's an 11-point advantage for Cano. So if Cano finishes on the podium, regardless of where Fernando Bojosa finishes, Cano will win the title. If Cano finishes P4 to P6, Fernando Bojosa must win. If it is P7 to P11 for Cano, Bojosa needs a top 2, while P12 to P15, Bojosa needs a podium. That took me longer than I care to admit, and I hope it's correct, but I believe it is. There is also a tiebreak in play, as both riders have 3 wins. Cano has got 3 P2s and Bojosa has 2 P2s. So if the situation arises that Bojosa comes 2nd and Cano is in 7th, for example, then it goes to a tiebreak of P3s. Who's going to win it, Connor? If it goes to that tiebreak, it's 1-0 Bojosa on the P3 count, so it will go to Bojosa.
As far as I'm concerned, you're the winner here because you've clearly spent all night looking up the rules and regs of the European Talent Cup.
Yeah.
And
it certainly
I take my hat off to you, Chris. That is some honest work.
Yes, thankfully you don't need to actually rely on my mathematics during the race because we will have the live graphics standings. But those are the situations. It did take me longer than I care to admit, I have to say that, Connor.
We did just see the rider starting from P3 there, Alvaro Lucas, who is also a winner this season in the ETC. He did get that first win in race 1 in Jerez, and has been very much one to watch as well, as has Alex Longarella.
Yeah, Alvaro Lucas, just to touch on him very quickly, a rookie in the class. He's came out swinging double P4 first time out, took a win then in Jerez, a couple of podiums then in Magny Core, and bar a couple of DNFs, he's been inside the top 5 nearly every race, top 4 even every race, and 1 P7 of course back in Mezzano. So sitting 5th in the championship, he'll be looking to catch Kiandra Ramadipa. He's 7 points behind Ramadipa in the bronze medal chase. Ramadipa himself actually has a outside chance of catching Fernando Bojosa for 2nd in this race. He is, 15 points behind. So
we did just see Yaroslav Karpushin there as well. Been on the podium 3 times so far this year, in a real surprise package, I think it's fair to say.
A real live wire, it has to be said, for Karpushin, because 3 P3s, and with the exception of the last one, the first 2 came when he was starting, I think, very deep on the grid. P18, I think it was, and P23 off the top of my head. 18th on the grid in Jerez, yes, and in Magny Core, P23 on the grid. So the definition of a Sunday rider, I think it's fair to say. Of course, that 3rd podium, he started a little further up onto the grid. So one to watch, starting on that 2nd row today, in the middle of the 2nd row, as is Kiandra Ramadipa. Picked up his 2nd win last time out, just a few thousandths of a second between himself and Cano as it came over the line. Kiandra Ramadipa currently sits 3rd in the championship. So we are going to focus chiefly on the battle between Bojosa and Cano for the title today, as we look at Travis Borg, the Maltese rider. But of course, 3rd in the championship needs to be decided as well. Kiandra Ramadipa still holds an outside shot of catching Fernando Bojosa in 2nd, as does Alex Longarella. However, Ramadipa, the Indonesian rider, is sitting in 3rd at the moment, 3 points ahead of Longarella and 7 points ahead of Alvaro Lucas.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how that gets resolved here. 3 fantastic riders, all of whom would be worthy of a P3 finish in this 2025 season. They've all impressed, and it's really going to be very interesting to see what happens here in our sole race in the ETC in Valencia. We've seen a lot of fans over the course of the weekend as well, braving this November cold in the south.
It's not that cold.
It is quite cold, Chris.
It was a crisp
weekend
weekend up until today, and as you can see, the sun is actually shining. It's quite nice out. However, it is cold in the evenings, I will give you that.
It was very cold yesterday, and to the extent at which qualifying was a very different state of affairs to what we're seeing today. It's much warmer out there on track as well for our riders, so that's going to be a bit, it's something for them to get to grips with, if you'll pardon the pun there.
You are not pardoned. Yes, so Just about 5 minutes to go until we see lights out. FIM will going from 10th on the grid is the German rider, part of that 72 Artbox team. Will the 72 Artbox team be celebrating later on? Will he be celebrating with his teammate Carlos Cano as he aims to take back-to-back European Talent Cup championships?
It would be quite a feat as well from Carlos Cano if he's capable of doing that. And it feels to me like last year it might have been a bit easier for him. This time around he's been pushed all the way, and credit to Bujosa for doing that as well. But Carlos Cano, a real talent for the future. Really quite spectacular. He has been throughout the season, and you'd have to hope that he's going to be mature enough to be able to control this race, do what he needs to do. He has to finish on the podium if he wants to secure, beyond any shadow of a doubt, that second ETC trophy.
Yeah, he's shown he can do it before, and he'll be looking to do it again. Of course, Bujosa himself is a phenomenally talented rider. Carlos Cano won it last season, beating Marco Morelli to the title. The year before that, Max Quiles was our European Talent Cup champion, his second European Talent Cup crown. Guido Pini the year before that. Both of those riders now making a name for themselves at the top level in the World Championship. Moto3 riders, particularly Quiles. David Alonso, of course, a European Talent Cup champion. Izan Guevara, Xavi Artigas, and Manu Gonzalez. So there is certainly pedigree that has come out of this championship, and recent winners have all gone on to make a name for themselves. Of course, one of those winners, David Alonso, is here in person.
Yeah, David Alonso here in person, and he is watching on as we see the starting grid on row 1, Bujosa, Cano and Lucas, row 2, Longarella, Kabushin and Ramanipa, and on row 3, Borg, Nativi and Galan. Behind them on row 4, starting from P10, Krachok, Will, Perez and Gutierrez. Row 5, it's Almeida, Savino and Osorio. And on row 6, it's Cantos, Borrelli and Sanchez. Starting from P19, Boxberger, P20, Pritelli, and P21, Ikegami. On row 8, we've got Matos, Sparks and San Juan. On row 9, it's Tessini, Cubeles and Galiuto. On row 10, Garcia, Serpa and Tamburini. Those last two coming through. The ETC's last chance race this morning.
Almost set to go then here at circuit. Ricardo Tormo is about to go off on the warm-up lap, led away by the AC Racing Team rider of Fernando Bujosa. Carlos Cano pulling up right alongside him there. I wonder if there's a little bit of mind games up there.
Would not be surprised if there were mind games between those two. Any edge could mean all the difference here in Valencia. And there we have confirmation of the temperature. 14 degrees out there, 17 on track. I think very rarely in this championship is a warm-up lap needed in name.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Need to get the Pirelli tyres nice and heated across the early laps. So around and around we go. Coming into turn 6 here, the famed Angel Nieto corner. So it's going to be a very interesting one. All eyes on the number 69 and the number 1 at lights out. ETC, it's going to be typical ETC fashion. Fundamentally, I think, looking at it, Fernando Bujosa has no option but to win. Unless something drastic happens to Carlos Cano, you just know Cano is going to be there and thereabouts. If Cano is on the podium, it is game over for Bujosa. Yeah. But if he opens the door ever so slightly and does not get that top 3 finish, Bujosa needs to win.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, both of these two riders who are in with a chance of claiming the ETC crown are going to be looking to get away really, really well. They don't want to be dragged into any kind of battle further back. They need to be focusing on their own ride and ahead of the pack. That's going to be absolutely crucial here in Valencia.
Yeah, we've also seen it through the season. Both these riders are capable of breaking away from the pack, particularly Bojosa. I think it was Estoril, the opening race of the season, when he took the victory.
Cano
He broke
ended up
away.
retiring in that race, I think, as well.
Bojosa broke away from the field and dominated. Race 2 then saw Cano and Bojosa go wheel to wheel, elbow to elbow over the finish line. Unfortunately, though, for Bojosa, he was disqualified later after post-race. That has proven costly now in the championship standings. Now, we are about to go racing here in the title decider for the European Talent Cup. Fernando Bojosa starts from pole position. A slight delay here as the red flag comes back out, but now all clear on the track. The safety car pulls up behind, the eyes are on the lights, and we are ready to go racing in title decider Sunday. Bojosa gets the start, and he does tuck in front of Cano, but there's a long run down into turn 1. It could all change. Cano is tucked right in behind Bojosa. Alex Longarella then getting involved as well and drops Cano behind him, so Bojosa gets the perfect launch through turn 1. He leads. Cano is dropped back to 3rd position, but for how long? Not very long is it going to be. No, Cano was having a little luck up the inside of turn 2, but Alex Longarella now is P2. So, dream start for Bojosa.
Yeah, Longarella got away really well there. Contrasting with Alvaro Lucas, who just found himself going backwards a bit, didn't get away well at all. And this is absolutely perfect for Bojosa. He's got a bit of a cushion now in the shape of Longarella.
He said it there after qualifying that he has a strategy in mind as Alex Longarella does go wide, but slots back into P2. And Alvaro Lucas now putting Cano under a little bit of pressure. But Bojosa said he has got a strategy with his team. What is that strategy going to be? Is he going to try and block up and slow the pace down as we've lost a rider at the back? That's the number 4 of Gabriel Tessini, who's gone out. So what is the strategy for Bojosa here, Connor? Does he slow the pace down and try and get a big lead group and bunch up on Carlos Cano, or does he just try and break away and take the win? Well, it looks like he's just going to try and break away.
I was just going to say, he set the fastest time in Sector 2 and Sector 3 there already, so very much looks like his plan is to break away as soon as possible. And now he's got 2 riders between himself and his title rival as Alvaro Lucas pulls through on Carlos Cano.
Yeah, so if you were to throw the checkered flag out after 1 lap, Carlos Cano is down in 4th position and Bojosa is leading the race. So as things stand, it's going the way of Bojosa.
Absolutely, Cano off the podium as well.
I know, but we are very early days here in what will be undoubtedly an absolutely thrilling European Talent Cup race. It always is, Connor. It never disappoints. But Bojosa has got the dream opening lap. He is leading, and there are now a couple of riders who have slotted in between him and Carlos Cano. Just having a look to see where Edu Gutierrez is, one of the AC Racing Team riders. He's a little bit further back, so he won't be able to help his teammate out unless he gets a little bit of a move on. Edu Gutierrez is down P16 at the moment, yeah.
Well, the 2 riders between Bojosa and Cano, we were singing their praises whilst we were taking a look at the grid. Longarella and Alvaro Lucas, both of whom have got a single win to their name so far this season. They've impressed, they've been on the podium more than once. They're not going to be easy for Cano to pass at all. We were saying how important it would be to get away well, and Cano simply hasn't managed to do that. But a rider of his caliber is more than capable. As difficult a track as Valencia is to overtake on, he is a rider who's capable of doing it. But there do seem to be a few bike lengths between him and Alvaro Lucas there.
Yeah, a long way to go, yes, in this race. We're just coming off lap 2. Cano by no means is going to be hitting the panic button just yet. I'm sure he'll actually be quite content with his position just behind the podium trio.
He's coming under threat from Carbuchin there.
Alex Longarella then moves into the lead as Alvaro Lucas pulls up alongside Bojosa, and there you have it. It can all change in the blink of an eye. A reminder of how quickly things can change here as Alex Longarella runs it wide, opening the door for Bojosa and Alvaro Lucas, and it's going to be Bojosa who reclaims the lead. So I would have to imagine this is a lead group of 5. Carlos Cano will be relatively content. He just needs to be in and around this group until the end. As things stand, you see it there, Bojosa would win by a single point. So at this race, if this is our lead group, Pujosa simply must win.
A single point in it.
Yeah, simply must win. Cano has to get onto the podium to guarantee the title. If he is P4 or below, then the permutations come into play. Pujosa, of course, there are lots of permutations in play, but the reality of the situation is he must win this race. Cano is tucked into this lead group of 5 riders.
It looked like he had made the move to move into P3 there, but just unable to make it stick, and Alvaro Lucas maintains his grasp for the time being on P3.
Yeah, I think this will suit Cano down to the ground, that there are just 5 riders in a lead group, even if he does come P4, P5, Pujosa still must win. And of course the likes of Alvaro Lucas, Alex Longarella, Jaroslav Karpushin chasing a first ever win, they're not going to really care, I would have to say, about the title chase when the chance of victory is there on the line.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say though, there is currently a gap of around the second between this lead group and the riders behind, but after a fairly poor opening couple of laps from Kiandra Ramadipa, he has now moved to the front of the chasing group and is trying to narrow that gap. You can just see there that he's getting closer.
Yeah, and if they
bringing them back into play.
Yeah, if they keep chopping and changing here, which naturally they will do, you would have to imagine that Ramadipa has the pace to make this a larger group fight for the victory and for the podium as well. Some nervous looking faces down in the 72 Artbox team. Yeah. They've already celebrated one title in the Junior GP Championship in 2025. That of course was Brian Uriarte romping home to the Junior GP and Rookies Cup double. 72 Artbox now are chasing another title here today. Can their reigning champion Carlos Cano produce the goods? He's having a calm and composed ride, it has to be said so far. Of course, he is in P4. I think, you know, he will be very happy to remain here until the final corner and then make a late lunge for those podium places.
Talking about lunges there, Alvaro Lucas on the inside of Alex Longarella. Absolutely sensational stuff. Have to remember as well that these two are fighting for the 3rd spot in the ETC this year.
Yeah,
everything to play for here.
Lucas
Drama
is
all over the place.
P3, as I've said, the number 46, of course, the number 46 famed in motorsport racing. For obvious reasons, I believe, Connor.
I think we're looking at the grid there, grazie male.
If you were donning the number 46, you need to have a little bit about you, I think, particularly here where you can see the face of Valentino Rossi watching down.
There does go Cano into a podium position there, into P3 as we go through turn 1, Ashbar corner.
Pujosa diving up the inside then of Cano, coming through turn 2.
Yeah, this is getting very, very close indeed. In this lead pack, they are beginning to chop and change, and now it is Alvaro Lucas who leads from Pujosa, and Cano who now is on the podium and would, in this situation, secure his 2nd consecutive ETC title. And there goes Lucas, round turn 6. Absolutely fantastic stuff. As his team watch on.
Of course, they are in that battle for bronze, but they would love a victory to cap off the 2025 campaign. What has been a really stellar campaign, it has to be said, for Alvaro Lucas. Another gem of a talent from the CF Moto Aspar Academy.
Cano now off the podium positions as well, but it would require Pujosa to overtake Lucas if he were to claim the crown in this current situation. 11 laps ago, it's too early almost to talk about the championship, but I'm very pleased that our TV direction is leaving that live championship graphic up, because this could change at any point in time. The drama is palpable here.
It just goes to show you how close this championship is and has been all season. 11 points between the top 2 coming in to this race, but as you can see, it can all change in an instant. It's Alvaro Lucas though who's doing the front running, as Pujosa comes under a little bit of pressure from Alex Longarella. Alex Longarella and Alvaro Lucas, we remind you, both chasing the bronze medal, have an outside shot, of course, of getting 2nd place as well, should Pujosa pick up no points here today. But a long way to go in the championship yet as Bahosa reclaims the lead, but for how long? Alvaro Lucas hangs it around the outside of turns 4 and 5, and that is why the Aspar Academy have got Alvaro Lucas in their team. That is just brilliant, brilliant racing on the outside. Unfortunately, coming through the Angel Nieto corner, he can't hold on to the position, and Bahosa has come back through. But Lucas is not going down here without a fight. He's got his nose back in front again, but he is hanging around the outside line. He's going to take something special from there to get ahead of Bahosa, and he just can't do it there. He's going to attack now from the inside. Is he? Nothing going. He does attack on the inside, but it's going to be Bahosa on the cutback. Bahosa looking there to open the door a little bit and then get him on the cutback, but it doesn't seem to have worked for the AC Racing team rider. And now Bahosa is doing the chasing once again.
A real flurry of blows there from Lucas. He was looking at every available opportunity, going around the outside, going around the inside, which is where it eventually worked for him. And he found his way through that. Absolutely spectacular stuff from Lucas to forge his path ahead there.
Yeah,
now he does lead.
This five-rider fight that was across the opening laps has turned into a larger group. Keandra Ramadipa has brought a good 6 or 7 riders in his tow. So the likes of Ramadipa, Borg, Osorio, Galan, Gonzalo Perez, Cratoquil, Pertelli are all there. The impressive Lorenzo Pertelli, who's a part of that VR46 Academy, recently signed and was ever so impressive in the recent rounds. Unfortunately crashed out in Barcelona, but did much of the front running in that race.
Capuchin
charge from 12.
Capuchin's just got ahead of Carlos Cano there, who drops down to 5th. So that's potentially a concern for our reigning champion. As we look at these 3 front runners side by side, they go. Absolutely sensational riding from these 3.
So Bahosa doing the front running here as we go half where we were around lap corner 8, I should say, with 8.5 laps remaining. Fernando Bahosa doing the front running. This is exactly where Bahosa wants to be, but he has been coming under pressure from both Longarella and Alvaro Lucas in this race. Lucas most recently, but he has shuffled back down to 3rd position. Yaroslav Karpushin, then the number 70, is ahead of Carlos Cano, the reigning champion. Keandra Ramadipa, our winner last time out in Barcelona, hot on the heels of number 1.
Yeah, very much so. You mentioned it earlier, it could be concerning for Carlos Cano going the wrong way.
Yeah, Longarella, sorry to cut you off, Connor. Longarella up the inside at turn 14. So, Longarella, will he hold on to the lead coming through turn 1 then? So you can see how tight it is in that championship chase. Just one overtake of a position makes a world of difference in terms of the final standings, but we won't get too absorbed by that as Keandra Ramadipa has a wobble out wide a little bit further back. Bahosa then at turn 2 coming steaming through once again. So we've seen that turn 2 has become a popular overtaking spot, as it always is in the ETC, but for Bahosa, he's made a couple of moves there now.
A couple of moves that paid off.
Yeah,
I know you said we weren't going to focus too much on it, but as it stands, it is Bahosa who would take the ETC in 2025 by 3 points over Carlos Cano. 169 for the 69 as it stands. This is getting very, very exciting here in Valencia in this season finale. Carlos Cano now does overtake Capuchin to move into P4.
Yeah, Cano then just keeping it calm and steady. This is probably where he wants to be. If he can't lead the race out, if he can't break away from the rest of the pack, I'm sure he's pretty happy with things as they are. Very much in contention, as you quite rightly mentioned, at turn 11 there. Alvaro Lucas making a move on Alex Longarella, but his payback on the card for Longarella, not quite going through turn 12. So very, very tight here. There's what between the front 6 riders, there's only about a second, 6/10 of a second between them. As woof, look at that, diving from the inside there was that Alex Longarella with a big move at the final corner to retake the lead here.
Ramadipa's looking for a bit of slipstream there as well. He has managed to get ahead of Capuchin there. Ramadipa coming in strong now.
Now here we
just
go.
Behind Bahosa, who's now dropped down to P4.
Bahosa down to P4 and behind Carlos Cano, but for how long? Both of them went off the track there as Alex Longarella leads. Bohosa got the wider line on Cano, so nothing going for him through to turn 2 and 3. Longarella ahead of Lucas. Does Lucas fancy an attack up the inside? Nothing going yet, but Bohosa certainly does. He gets the place back from Carlos Cano, but as things stand, it wouldn't be enough to finish P3 with Cano in P4. But Bohosa,
what a move from Bohosa.
Is that a
there.
2-for-1 deal? It most certainly is. The number 69 suddenly back into the lead.
Yeah, Angel Nieto corners really giving us some
Look at this from
fantastic moves.
Keandre Ramadipa taking the wider line there. It looked like he was going to mug them all off, coming through 7. What a move that would have been from the Indonesian rider, but he does shuffle back behind Cano. But it just goes to show the ambition of the number 32. He's got a taste for victory already in the European Talent Cup in 2024. Winner last time out in Barcelona. There was also a win back in Magny Core for the Indonesian, and he will be hoping to get himself among the top 3 and indeed challenge for the victory here once again. But it is Bohosa leading over Alvaro Lucas and Alex Longarella. That has been the story of the race so far, with Carlos Cano in 4th. The front 3 have been battling and changing places as they change places for P2 and P3 once again. Longarella this time and Alvaro Lucas. And while all this unfolds, it means the lead group don't break away from Carlos Cano, who seems just very content to sit in P4 for the time being.
For the time being, Bohosa there as well with a track limits warning. So that could prove quite important with the 6 laps that we have remaining then.
Yeah,
again, a few riders they done very wide there.
Very tidy. He does lose the lead, but only momentarily as he strikes back at turn 2. You gotta keep it. You gotta stay off the green, Fernando. There's what, 5.5 laps, 5 3/4 laps going. Do not get yourself onto the green. A long lap penalty now would be devastating for your title chances.
Yeah, absolutely. But he's going to be throwing everything at it. I don't know if he's going to be too aware of that warning, given the focus he's going to be having to have in this battle with this originally leading 5. Now it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 riders involved.
Yeah, and just on that second group, we mentioned him earlier, Lorenzo Pretelli, the ever-impressive Italian. In the recent outings, he's joined the European Talent Cup. He's now at the head of the second group. So what is there between Pretelli and Karpushin? About a 1/10 to 2/10 of a second. Keep an eye on the number 67, as he is very much gaining on Karpushin, the Kyrgyzstani rider. So Pretelli is not out of this.
No, not at all. He started from P20 as well, so he's moved up 12 places so far. With 6 laps to go, absolutely not one to rule out whatever for a podium or something even more. You could definitely shuffle things up at the front and in the final standings of the ETC for 2025.
Yeah, Alvaro Lucas then leading over the line into turn 1, but will he lead out of it? He seems to have a couple bike lengths advantage. Well, he runs it very wide there, but he is still in the lead, but for how long? Turn 2, Fernando Bohosa strikes again.
Yeah, absolutely incredible from Bohosa. He's really delivering the performance that he needed to in this final race of the year. He's been leading for much of it, but he's not been able to lead comfortably whatsoever. Surprisingly, the pressure isn't being put on him by Carlos Cano, though. It is very much Alvaro Lucas and Longarella who are doing Cano's dirty work for him.
Yeah, absolutely well put. It is bubbling over quite nicely as Bohosa runs onto the red there, but he's about to lose the position again, is he, from Alvaro Lucas, as Lucas shows him the front wheel, but nothing going for the rookie rider around turn 8. That time, Bohosa holds on to the lead. This is bubbling over very nicely, Connor, it has to be said. Bohosa is exactly where he wants to be. Cano is in a very promising position to attack, while the likes of Longarella and Alvaro Lucas, Keandre Ramadipa all want to get involved in this as well. So I think we're set for a pretty grandstand finale to the 2025 European Talent Cup season.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is one of the races when you ask me who I think is going to win prior to a race, and I cannot give you an answer when we've got riders of this caliber and the competition this close in the ETC. It's just impossible.
Have you ever given me the correct answer before a race?
I try and stay on the fence as much as possible, you know this.
A concerned look then from Emilio Alzamoda.
Lucas does move ahead there.
A concerned look from Emilio Alzamora as he encourages his star rider Carlos Cano to get on with it, as Alvaro Lucas has a big moment with the front end there, and that opens the gap for the 69. Fernando Bajosa to once again go through at turn 2. Lightning striking twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times now I think it is. He has made that move at turn 2 on either Longarella or Alvaro Lucas. There seems to be a little bit of a gap opening up then between Longarella, Ramadipa in 4th position, with Carlos Cano just stuck in behind Indonesian. Indeed, there's quite a big gap opened up with 3.5 laps to go. This is going excellently for Fernando Bajosa. He runs it wide once again coming out of turn 6, but he holds on to the advantage. What have you got, Carlos Cano? The pressure is very much on the reigning champion. He's got Ramadipa, a race winner, ahead of him, and what is that, 6-7 bike lengths then to make up to the top 3. So this is big moment for Cano's title ambition.
Yeah, absolutely. What he's going to have to do now is manage that pressure. He is the reigning champion. There's a reason why. But he's got to show it now. He's got to demonstrate that he's got the maturity to deal with this situation that he's facing. The drama is palpable here. The excitement on pit lane. Absolutely incredible stuff with just over 3 laps to go. We're going round turn 14, the last, and we're onto the straight now. Can anyone take advantage of the slipstream here?
Lots of nervous faces down in the AC Racing team pit boards, and it's Alvaro Lucas has gone back in front. Alvaro Lucas has gone back in front, but guess what's coming up, Connor? It's going to be turn 2. It's Bajosa corner at this point. It's Doing corner. Let's rename it Bajosa corner. He's gone back up the inside, Fernando Bajosa, and this is big. This is very big because there are 2 3/4 laps remaining. It puts him back into the championship lead. He's under all sorts of pressure from both Alvaro Lucas and Alex Longarella, but most importantly not from Carlos Cano. But there's the door open for Carlos Cano. There's the door open. Is that the moment Cano now can reel in the top 3 ahead of him? Ganja Ramadipa going in a little bit wide, but seems he's got him on the cutback. Cano under pressure here, under all sorts of pressure. Ramadipa gone wide again. Cano had slotted in behind the Indonesian, but for how long?
Yeah, this is getting very dramatic.
And here comes Pretelli. Pretelli is coming through now. Cano under all sorts of pressure.
Yeah, we said it. Watch out. He started from P20 on the grid. Pretelli now up to P6, 14 places, and he's really ruffling some feathers in this championship.
Oh, how are your nerves? There are nervous faces down the AC Racing team box, down the 72 Art box team, up here in the commentary box as well. We are on the edge of our seats. Carlos Cano is running in 6th position. That means Fernando Bajosa, if he can get a victory here, Alvaro Lucas goes through for the lead though, but if Bajosa wins and Cano cannot get in to the top 3, Bajosa will be your European Talent Cup champion.
We are seeing though that Bajosa is capable of taking the lead at turn 2, but he seems to be losing it to Alvaro Lucas every single time on that last corner at turn number 14. Adrian Campos.
Someone's gone wide there.
Very dramatic.
Very wide and into the gravel there. I saw a bike flying off. I think is it Victor Cubeles. So it's from that group chasing behind the Carlos Cano group. So I thought momentarily it could have been one of our front runners, but it seems our front runners are still here. Fernando Bajosa is back in the lead. 1.5 laps remaining. Carlos Cano with Pretelli into Ramadipa. It is. Oh, it is Ramadipa who's gone out, and that is a big moment for Ramadipa, and perhaps in the context of the championship, a big moment as one of Cano's rivals on track is gone. Does that open the door for him to get into P4 and perhaps catch Longarella or Bajosa or indeed Alvaro Lucas in this top 3? It's probably too much time. He's got Yaroslav Karpushin there now in 4th position.
It'd be very good to get another look at that crash as well, just to see exactly what happened there, because was there a bit of contact between Cano and Ramadipa there? Ramadipa as well had just moved up to P4 in the standings.
Yeah, Ramadipa, a real thorn in the side of Carlos Cano in this race. It means now there is one less rider in this battle for 4th position and 5th position and 6th position, meaning it's likely Cano will have a top 6 finish, which means Bajosa must win. It's as simple as that now for Fernando Bojosa. Win or bust. He is currently in second. Is he about to be dropped into third position? Alex Longarella makes a move ahead of him on the last lap. On the last lap, turn 2 coming up. We've seen Bojosa do it so many times already in this race.
Is he going to get 2 for 1?
He's got the 2 for 1 once again at turn 2. Absolutely sensational from the young Spaniard. The number 69 leads. The number 69 only had, 10 corners remaining, and he could be the European Talent Cup champion.
10 corners and a single point between himself and Carlos Cano. There's 3 riders here leading this race, but they're chopping and they're changing at every available opportunity. We've seen Alvaro Lucas take the lead. We've seen Alex Longarella take the lead, but the lead is what Fernando Bojosa needs if he is to be crowned ETC champion. He's currently ahead. Are we going to see a move here from Alvaro Lucas? Not quite, it's still Bojosa, but for how long? We're just going through turn 8 now, heading into turn 9 and 10. And it's still Bojosa who leads in the race and in the championship.
Half a lap remaining here in the European Talent Cup season. Carlos Cano is just dropped to 5th position, but Bojosa still needs the victory. Bojosa leads coming into the final sector. Turn 12, nothing going for Alvaro Lucas. What about turn 13? It's all going to come down to 14, isn't it? Turn 14, the championship could be decided at the final corner of the final race in 2025. Longarella shoots up the inside. Longarella's made the move. Longarella looks like he might have the win, but Bojosa's got drive to the line. Alvaro Lucas is pulled up beside him, and it's not going to be for Fernando Bojosa. He is third possession, and that means Carlos Cano is your European Talent Cup champion in 2025. Drama to the line in 2025. Fernando Bojosa, he led on the final lap. He got done at the final corner. Alex Longarella takes the win. Alvaro Lucas in second, but the celebrations are really down in the 72 Artbox team. He repeats what Max Quiles has done and becomes the 2-time European Talent Cup champion, the first rider to go back-to-back. Sensational race, Connor.
Absolutely sensational race, and what good company Carlos Cano is keeping with Max Quiles. He's a real star for the future. You can see what it means. Deserved champion, but you've got to feel for Bojosa. What a race, what a performance he put in. And it was turn 14 time and time again that cost him. And that's going to be so frustrating because he was getting ahead. He was leading for the majority of that race. But Alvaro Lucas or Alex Longarella were just capable of edging ahead by the slightest of margins at the very last second. Talk about excitement, talk about drama, talk about the European Talent Cup, Chris.
Sensational stuff. We are just about catching our breath here in the commentary box because the European Talent Cup once again delivered another cracking race. But you have to feel for Fernando Bojosa. He did so well leading into the final corner. But Alex Longarella and Alvaro Lucas wanted to have their say. There is the number 69. Disappointment. It's a podium finish on the final day, which will be scant consolation at this stage, I'm sure. Disappointment etched across the faces of the AC Racing team down in pit lane. But what a moment for Carlos Cano, the latest 72 Artbox star in the making, the latest talent from the endless conveyor belt of Spanish stars. But yeah, you can see disappointment under the helmet of the number 69. He was so close. He almost ran the perfect race. Alex Longarella then was the one to crush Bojosa's dream at the final corner, diving up the inside of the number 69 to run home to victory. Alvaro Lucas taking second, which means Carlos Cano is number 1 in 2024 and number 1 in 2025. The celebrations are in full flow below. Let's take a little listen in. Cano at the double then. P4 in the ETC finale. It opened the door for Fernando Bojosa. Bojosa just simply had to win, and it looked like it was. You can see the tears flowing. Devastation down in the AC Racing team. Despite the podium, he's fallen just agonizingly short of victory, and victory that would have handed him the European Talent Cup title in 2025. However, he can hold his head up high because he has had a sensational season, and he will have a very, very bright future if 2025 is anything to go by. You would have to expect Bojosa, with nothing signed yet for 2026, but surely will be the apple of the eye for many JuniorGP teams. As will Carlos Cano. Cano, of course, back in European Talent Cup despite winning last season due to the age restrictions. But he does turn 16 in December, meaning he will take the step up next season. Alvaro Lucas, another Spanish talent then, the rookie rider, with an excellent, excellent outing here. Threatened the victory as much as Alex Longarella and Bojosa did, and was a thorn in the side of Bojosa all race, but has to settle for P2 in the end. And the disappointment clear to see for Fernando Bojosa. In the moment, he'll be feeling all sorts of emotions of disappointment, but I'm sure as the time passes, in a few days, he'll see the achievement he has made to come second in the European Talent Cup, and to be so close to winning it against the reigning champion Carlos Cano, who is just an outstanding rider with a big future ahead of him. And this is the winning move from Alex Longarella. Defensive line from Bojosa to try block out Alvaro Lucas, and that opened the door wide open for Alex Longarella. And then there was the drive to the line, where Lucas pipped Bojosa by what, 9 thousandths of a second between, oh, it was a photo finish indeed between Longarella and Lucas. 9 thousandths of a second between them, with Bojosa 6 hundredths behind Lucas and 7 hundredths behind Longarella. Absolutely nothing in it. And that was the moment Carlos Cano realized he was the two-time European Talent Cup champion. Celebrations in full flow for the number one, who remains the number one. What a bright future Carlos Cano has in front of him, and it has to be said, his racecraft during that race was absolutely excellent. Slotted into 4th position. It did open the door for Bojosa, but he kept it calm, neat and tidy. He did fall off the lead group towards the end and managed to get himself ahead of Karpushin as Keandra Ramadipa crashed out of contention as well. And this is the only issue he has really had all day, Carlos Cano, needing to get a lift back to Parc Ferme. The marshals on hand as they do a stellar job down here in Valencia. How about this? A way to arrive in style in your crowning race. Waves to his fans as he is carried across on a chariot with his bike back towards Parc Ferme and pit lane. We will hear, of course, from the race winner very, very shortly. He'll be down with Connor, who has made his way down to Parc Ferme. We're just waiting on the final steps of the celebrations down in Parc Ferme, and the final pictures are being taken down below. Alex Longarella, the race winner, snatching victory away from Fernando Bojosa at the final corner. Well, Alvaro Lucas made a late charge at the line, but only 9 thousandths of a second separated the duo. Only 7 thousandths of a second separated our race winner Keandra Ramadipa and Carlos Cano on the line in Barcelona, and only 9 thousandths of a second today, this time around. The European Talent Cup then, keeping up the proud tradition of extremely close racing. 2025 has seen a number of photo finishes already. As we see Carlos Cano coming across on his chariot in front of the commentary box, slowly getting around to Parc Ferme. Perhaps not the planned celebrations he had, but I think it will matter very little. So we can hear from our race winner, Alex Longarella. He's with Connor.
That's right, Chris, I'm with Alex. What a race. Last lap, last corner, and a photo finish. What a way to say goodbye to 2025 with this win.
Yeah, I'm very happy. The last lap is a crazy lap, and I don't have more words. This race is for my family, for my team, and the best position for the finish the world champion.
Pues ha sido una carrera increíble, la última vuelta, la última curva y otra victoria aquí. Vaya manera de decir adiós a 2025, ¿no?
Sí, la mejor forma de terminar el campeonato. Estoy muy contento porque se nos ha cruzado un poco las últimas carreras, unas penalizaciones, caídas y nada. Terminar así me da mucho orgullo. Y nada, muchas gracias.
Gracias a ti. Well done. Congratulations.
Fernando Bojosa started on pole position in the title decider as Carlos Cano lined up alongside him. Gabriel Tessini was an early faller. Bojosa did much of the front running, but Alex Longarella and Alvaro Lucas got themselves into a position to attack. It was a five-way fight for the lead. Carlos Cano sitting in P4, Yaroslav Karpushin also part of the lead group. Fernando Bojosa came under all sorts of pressure from Lucas and Longarella throughout the race, but always had a response ready for them. He was desperate to win. Win was what he needed to take the title. Alex Longarella firing one up the inside there at the final corner, but once again Bojosa responded. Turn 2, a favourite overtaking hotspot of his, as was turn 6. Here was the final corner. Alex Longarella diving up the inside. Once again, Alvaro Lucas then diving up the inside of Alex Longarella as Cano got himself among the podium positions. Bojosa was shuffled off the top 3, but quickly went about working his way back towards the lead. Carlos Cano then settled in for 4th position as the top 3 broke away. Kiandra Ramadipa, Yaroslav Karpushin, a thorn in the side of the number 1 all race. Lorenzo Pertelli as well making a late charge. Kiandra Ramadipa crashing out late in the race, as well as the top 3 went toe to toe for victory. Bojosa had to win and he led going into the final corner, but Alex Longarella led coming out of it and over the line as Alvaro Lucas took 2nd and Bojosa took 3rd. Cano's 4th place finish was enough to crown him European Talent Cup champion in 2025.
El Sniper y Gas Team representado por Alex Martínez Mas. El tercer clasificado ha sido Fernando Bojosa.
Time for the celebrations then on the podium. Fernando Bojosa missed out on the championship but does take home P3 from the race in Valencia. Muted celebrations from the AC Team Racing rider. Aspar's Alvaro Lucas taking 2nd with Alex Longarella taking victory.
Equipo ganador del Sniper y Gas Team representado por Alex Martínez Mas.
The team representative from the EGAX Snipers team handed his trophy as Bojosa gets his 3rd place trophy here in Valencia. Another trophy to add to his burgeoning collection as bigger and better things await him in his motorcycle racing career. The same can be said for Alvaro Lucas, the rookie of the class who was ever so impressive in 2025. His 4th podium of the year, including a victory back in Jerez. And Alex Longarella gets his second winner's trophy of the season, handed to him by David Almanza, the Moto3 World Championship rider
Escuchamos
with
en honor del
Leopard Racing.
vencedor, el himno de España. Ese aplauso para los tres pilotos. Ya será el momento de celebrarlo. En este caso con la gaseosa.
So
Los pilotos del European Talent Cup.
For our podium finishers here
Que no llevan el Prosecco.
in the European Talent Cup. As the bubbly water gets a little bit of a spray around. And a smile on the face, which is great to see for Fernando Bujosa
Para el recuerdo
as he takes another
de
podium.
Fernando Bujosa, de Álvaro Lucas y de Alex Longarella, los tres juntos en el podio.
A big future awaits all three of these riders, it has to be said. 2025, a year to remember for all of them.
Esa imagen de los tres
They may
jóvenes
not have won
pilotos
the
de esta
title,
European Talent Cup
but
en
they
una
showed
carrera que
what
se
they
decidió
are
por
all
milésimas.
about. Picking up several wins and podiums between them. And no doubt Junior GP Moto3 teams will, of course, be keeping an eye on their progress over the coming years, as they most certainly will be. Carlos Cano, your two-time European Talent Cup champion, back to back for Cano. So the 72 Artbox team all pile onto the podium places as Carlos Cano is crowned the back-to-back
Ahí
European
está,
Talent Cup
el logo de
champion, and what a
campeón.
talent he is, and what a year it has been for the team. That is 2 titles in the Junior GP World Championship. Brian Uriarte taking Junior GP honours. Carlos Cano now set to follow in his footsteps after back-to-back wins in the European Talent Cup, set for a move to Junior GP, and he will certainly be a rider to watch next season.
Vamos a ver las últimas fotos. Y vamos ya a disfrutarlo al box.
Celebrations in full flow on the podium here in Valencia, and why not? It is very well deserved. We will, of course, hear from Carlos Cano very, very shortly. Or indeed, we will hear from him on our social channels as Emilio Alzamora goes searching for a towel to dry himself off. So let's take a look through then the results from today's race. Victory, of course, going the way of Alex Longarella, with Alvaro Lucas 9,000ths of a second behind him, with Fernando Bujosa missing out on the win and the championship. But he does take home the 3rd place medal here in Valencia. Carlos Cano, P4 enough for him to seal the crown. Jaroslav Karpushin a top 5 finish, and Eco Osorio in 6th, with Borg, Critelli and Nativi all inside the top 10, as is Ignacio Galan. Oliver Cantos is P11, Christian Borelli in 12th, ahead of Mikey Lu Sanchez and Edu Gutierrez. Edu, Savino, Ethan Sparks and Matthias Tamburini then outside the podium places, the point scoring places I should say. Savino the final point scorer. Alfonso Almeida, Pedro Matos, Seiru Ikigami, Remy George San Juan, Evan Boxberger, Victor Kubeles and Ivan Serpa, the rest of our finishers here. In the season finale, Finn Cratoquil and Gonzalo Perez were both lapped, but did finish the race indeed. So your final standings for 2025. confirmation that 168 points is enough for Carlos Cano to be champion once again. Fernando Bojosa misses out at the final corner but takes the silver medal, while Alex Longarella takes bronze. That late dash for victory, enough to beat Alvaro Lucas to the podium in the championship. Keandra Ramadipa's late crash cost him. Then we go through Christian Borelli, 10th, Crato Quill, Gabrini, Pertelli, Nativi, Marolanda, all inside the top 15. Galan, Osorio, 16th and 17th. Rodriguez, Gonzalo Perez, Fernandinez, inside the top 20. Mikey Lou Sanchez, 21st. Dakugan, Sparks, Rostani, Tamburini, all scoring points throughout the campaign, and we'll see more of them next season, no doubt, as they continue their development. The same can be said for David da Costa, Edu Savino, Remy George San Juan, Evan Boxberger, Oliver Cantos, Almeida, who's part of that Portuguese Miguel Oliveira Academy, Nikola Miroslavov and Yuri Van Krugten, while Vincenzo Di Veroli and Alberto Enriquez were the other point scorers from 2025. He may not have taken the win, he may not have won the battle, but he has won the war. The number one, Carlos Cano, is on the top step of the championship podium once again. He goes back to back after a phenomenal European Talent Cup finale in Valencia. And indeed, we can actually hear from Carlos Cano, who is joining us late in the day. He's down with Connor.
That's right. I've just managed to hunt down Carlos after his celebrations back to back. You're a champion again in the European Talent Cup. How does it feel?
Yes, finally I get my goal. When I start the season, I am super happy because the race was super difficult. The tire dropped a lot, and I tried to push a lot to cut the first group, but finally I get the champion, and I don't have words to describe this moment. With the team, I do history 2 times on a run, win the European champion, and super happy. I thank people who support me, all my team, all my family. This is to help me all the season, and super happy.
Carlos, 2 veces campeón. ¿Qué tal? ¿Cuáles son las emociones después de una carrera como esta? ¿Cómo te encuentras ahora mismo?
Bueno, la verdad que ha sido increíble, ¿no? Al final he podido ganar el campeonato haciendo además historia que quedará escrito. 2 veces campeón de Europa seguidas, que no lo ha hecho nadie, así que súper contento de esto. Y también esto gracias al gran trabajo que he hecho con mi equipo, que ya sabíamos que este año iba a ser difícil porque he crecido bastante y el peso se ha notado encima de la moto, pero bueno, solo agradecer a todo mi equipo, a mi familia, que hemos trabajado también fuera de los circuitos muchísimo para conseguir el objetivo que teníamos a principio de temporada, y se lo quiero agradecer a ellos, y estoy súper contento y ahora a disfrutar.
Congratulations, well done, Carlos.
So Carlos Cano is your 2025 European Talent Cup champion. What a year it has been for him as he goes back to back, and a big future ahead of him. The day belongs to Carlos Cano.